Good morning, Wellness Warriors. So today we're talking about burnout. So basically not being committed to our healthy lifestyle, healthy diet. And sometimes it happens because we've kind of lost interest in the food that we've been eating. And, one of the things that I feel can really contribute to that is that, first of all, we start the new healthy way of eating full of a lot of commitment, whether it's because I want to lose weight or it's because I have some kind of health metabolic issue to solve. But I'm excited and I'm looking forward to major changes happening. And then we begin this way. So our new way of eating, whatever it ends up being, of course, you know what I encourage. We're not necessarily paying enough attention to the foods we're eating. And what I mean by that is, starting with myself as the example, I was never super interested in food. I'm very easygoing when it comes to food. And what that ended up looking like for me is that I can eat pretty much anything and be happy with it as long as it tastes okay. So if I walk through the door with this, whatever is in front of me, I'm going to eat, and I don't do a little bit more investigation of, in a particular diet, the foods that I will be eating, I feel like sometimes we get set up to burn out on the foods because often we're looking for a script. So Monday I'm going to eat this, Tuesday I'm going to eat this, Wednesday, and we just have this script that we're doing. Now, for me, that can totally work because honestly, I can eat the same thing every day, probably 3-4 days in a row and not care. But for most people, what I've realized is that won't work. Most people would like to have a little bit more variety than that. I'm not suggesting, and so this is where it becomes interesting because I want us all to think about our personality. It really is going to play a role in how I'm able to commit to whatever healthy lifestyle, whatever healthy diet I decide to do. So if I allow myself to enter into a diet and I don't really have a good understanding of what I will eat, not only in the first week, but in the first month, so just having some kind of knowledge that I could cook this or these meals and that they taste good enough to me that I will cook them, eat them, and be fine with doing this repeatedly. If I don't know that for sure, then the thing that I feel will happen is that I might start off really well and really believing fully that I'm going to eat this healthy way going forward, and then run into the problem of, I don't like this, I don't like that. And if I don't have enough, first of all, options, but second of all, knowledge about why the food on my plate, so those original, let's say 7 meals, why those original 7, 12, 14, however many they were supposed to work, I can actually make adjustments that work for me. So now I'm stuck. I'm stuck eating stuff that I don't like because I don't know how to fix it. The other place that I see this is when the food that I'm actually eating isn't food. So, and I say that, and I know I'm going to get a lot of, but when the food I'm eating is processed stuff, so bars or shakes, and that's making up a good portion of what I'm eating. And there's lots of diets like this. I'm not going to name any right now, but where you're supposed to have a shake in the morning, a shake at lunch, and then some kind of healthy meal. And I've actually done those. And not because of dieting again, but because of timing and because of just things that, things that look like they would make my life easier and be healthy at the same time. Yay, that's a win, right? It saves Violet time in the kitchen. It didn't save me any time in the kitchen. Well, actually, that's not true. It did save me a lot of time in the kitchen, but it didn't save me any health. But I think the other thing was that how quickly can you get bored of that? I mean, and I'm a person that loves chocolate and I still got bored of it. So I want us to think about what are we talking about? What are we doing for a long-term solution and how the foods that we're going to be eating. So if I lose interest in the food, I'm not going to be able to move forward. Another issue that I see here, which is related to losing interest in the food, is the food is not fun. And I'm using that word. So I'm used to having fun with food. If I'm coming from the standard American, standard Canadian, standard Caribbean diet. we're used to having fun with food. And then all of a sudden, we're being told, eat healthy, and the healthy foods on the plate don't seem fun. What's really frustrating to me is how we can find fun foods even in what's supposed to be healthy. So people will move away from eating chocolate bars and ice cream to eating loads of fruit and don't understand that I'm still damaging my health. Don't understand that I'm not helping my weight. Don't understand that large amounts of sweet tasting healthy foods is just as bad as carby garbage. And so one of the things that I want us to be able to notice and understand and really make improvements around is that one of the other things is choosing better food, because this is where now I can end up losing hope. So first we talked about losing interest in the food. Now we're talking about losing hope in the process, not believing that this can really work. And I feel like it comes back to, I'm trying to have fun with food. So then I end up trying to make what I'm eating now just as fun as what I used to eat on the standard diets. That's a recipe for disaster. The reason the standards diets don't work is because there's so much carbohydrate. So then if I turn around and try to make this new way of living, this healthier thing that I'm trying to do, so fun that I fall into this range of now I'm eating lots of fruit, or I'm eating sweet potatoes, or even like sweeter vegetables, so like tomatoes and onions. And if I'm more focused on how fun the food tastes than how healthy the food is for me, I'm still going to be in trouble. So this leads us now to not losing weight, right? Because if I'm eating those carbier foods, I'm not going to lose the weight that I want to lose. I'm not going to solve the internal problems I'm trying to solve. I'm going to lose hope. And motivation, which is tricky, because like a lot of the times we start the diet because of a weight issue. We start the diet because of some kind of internal, like my doctor said I have this, or this is going on, or in my case, I had pain that was obvious. I wanted to make it go away. And if I'm doing all the things that I believe I should be doing and my pain would have stayed, I would not have been motivated to continue to do what I'm doing. But interestingly enough, if you solve the thing very quickly, we can also lose motivation. So what I'm trying to point out is, when I solved my hip issue, for example, if I hadn't gotten all the background information on why carbohydrates was causing my hip to hurt, if I just were to have found out, well, if you have a hip issue, take your carbohydrates down and your hip issue is going to go away, I might have started cycling in and out of eating poorly, because when I was feeling better, I might have went back to eating normally. Now, luckily for me, I did learn why the carbohydrates were causing my hip issue, and I did learn that they were causing other internal issues that I didn't even know were happening. That kept me highly motivated to keep my carbohydrates low. But when we start this way of living, so this new healthy way of living, when we start it as a diet, as a way to lose weight, a lot of the time we don't have all those underlying bits and pieces of information, and that's where we get ourselves into trouble, right? Because all of a sudden I'm willing to come in and out, and just because I don't see that there's any other negative repercussion than my weight went back up. One of the things I want wellness warriors to start thinking about is that numbers are there to guide us. But I want us to be careful that we don't only focus on the numbers. If that's making a lot of sense to you, please do me a favor and share this video. And I'm going to explain why I think that. But I want us to use the numbers as a guide, because when we see, okay, this weight range is where it would be healthy for someone of my height to be within, then I know that either I'm well above it or well below it, and that's going to guide me to get back to where I should be. But we need to also understand that there's no specific number that's being asked of me to weigh. So then how would I now know within that weight range where I'm supposed to be? And there's two important things I want us to understand. The first one is, once I get inside that weight range, how do I feel? So very likely if I stay super high to the top of the weight range and I don't have a lot of muscle on me, I might still feel achy. I might still feel fatigued. There might still be negative repercussions. I'm going to be better than when I was overweight. That's 100%. But this is where I want wellness warriors to think about. It's not something that I'm going to be able to know as soon as I cross that threshold. I need to give myself time living at that, within that new weight range to see where do I end up feeling the most comfortable, which leads me to the second part, eating to satiation. When our body is allowed, it will tell us what's best for us. And I feel like we're so hard on ourselves because we have a number in mind. And I feel like we're so hard on ourselves because we feel like we need to look like everybody else. And we don't do the thing that would make a lot of sense, which is listen to what my body is trying to tell me so that I can get to the place that's going to be healthiest for me. So what would that look like? Well, if I'm eating to satiation, what I'm going to start to notice is that, and eating to satiation, by the way, means that I'm eating until I no longer feel hungry, not until I'm full. And there's a huge difference. And I think that when we slow down, so first of all, eat slower and really pay attention to, am I still hungry while I'm eating? An interesting thing happens. The amount of food that we end up eating is nowhere near what it is when we eat till we're full. And I feel like, but the flip side of that coin is that when we're at maintenance, which is where I am, the amount of food that we're eating is much more than when we were doing any kind of typical diet. So my body knows how much energy it would like me to bring in, and my body knows how many building blocks it would like me to bring in. And when I eat to satiation, depending on what phase I'm in, am I in weight loss mode, where my body actually would want to use some of the weight that's sitting on me that's not useful to have because I've got way too much? Or am I in maintenance mode, where my body would be looking at like building and repairing, and that takes a lot more energy, and so therefore it might ask me to bring in a bit more. And also takes more building blocks, or it might ask me to bring in a bit more, because if it's in building mode, for example, if I'm trying to build some muscle, I'm not going to be recycling as much as I'm going to need new protein coming in to build, versus if I'm in maintenance and I'm not trying to build any muscle and I'm really good with where I am, then recycling. So different phases, different needs. Did I get hurt recently and I have something to repair versus I'm feeling fine? Different mode of operation, different needs. So when I'm talking about how you feel, I want you guys to allow yourself to pay attention to how much energy do I have? How does my body, my physical body actually feel? So do I have any pains or aches, or do I have a lot of energy, or am I lacking energy? How's my mental clarity? The things that I can physically feel. The numbers matter. When you go to the doctor and they tell you what the numbers are, they matter, and we need to know how to interpret them. And this is about talking to your doctor. If your doctor is familiar with low carb and keto and carnivore, give them as much information as you possibly can. As a matter of fact, you should always give your doctor as much information you possibly can. But I would also encourage you, talking to your doctor, getting feedback from a doctor that has that kind of, or feedback from a doctor or some other professional that has the information about low carb, keto, carnivore, and uses it. So I say and uses it because that's important. Sometimes we have doctors that have that knowledge, but they don't use that information. They are opposed. Let's call it that. And so therefore, if that's the lifestyle you're living and your doctor is opposed, of course you're going to get opposing information. And that's going to be a fight between you and your doctor that I don't think is necessary. There's so many doctors right now that understand low carb lifestyles, and that can be very helpful to you. Which might mean, it might mean shopping around a little bit with your doctor. And of course, the other thing I want us to think about when we're talking about our health and just maintaining ourselves and not getting burnt out on our diet is, are we desperate or are we committed? So when we start a new way of living because we're desperate, so I have to solve X, otherwise my life is going to be bad, that kind of attitude, then when we solve the issue, so when those healthy foods have done what they're supposed to do, sometimes we might actually feel like I don't need to continue this anymore because my desperation has fallen away. Yay, my hip feels better. I don't have to do this anymore. Versus the commitment that we have to our health long term. I want us all to be committed to our health long term. And I've used this example before, but I'm going to use it today again. That if I wanted to build muscle, I would not only need to go to the gym and work out building muscle or ride my devices, but not only do it once or twice or 17 times, I would have to create a schedule that made sense for myself to lift heavy things or ride my devices on a regular scheduled basis so that not only am I building the muscle, but I can maintain the muscle that I built. Otherwise, what would happen is I might build a little and then I would lose it, and I would build it back and then I would lose it. And that's not necessarily going to give me what I'm looking for because my body's going to be constantly not where I want it to be. Wellness Warriors, if you want to be healthy, then we need to have healthy food on a consistent basis, which means that I'm eating that healthy food on a very regular schedule. So, and that means I need to know how to make that healthy food. That means I need to know how to decide which food is healthy and which food is not healthy. That means I need to be able to go to a restaurant if I do that, or a friend's house when I do that, and know, can I eat what's on the menu or can I eat what's being presented? And it's a decision that Violet has to make. I'm either saying, yes, thank you, or I'm saying, no, thank you. Doesn't matter what everybody else in the room is doing. It matters what I'm doing. And for each of us, taking that responsibility and really committing to how I'm going to feed myself absolutely matters. I want every wellness warrior to be able to feed and fuel themselves appropriately. I hope you guys found this topic helpful, and I really look forward to all the questions and comments down below. So please, thanks for watching. Love talking to you guys, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again next week.